We often hear eat your greens, but we believe you should eat your reds, blues, and pinks too. Hello, everyone. I'm Shrankla, Assistant Editor at TPCI, and I welcome you to Food Frontiers, the podcast where we dive into conversation with leaders transforming the agricultural value chain from farm to fork. Today, we are excited to introduce Kia Salot, co-founder of Farm2Fam. After leaving a successful career in law, Kia dedicated herself to a sustainable urban farming. Farm2Fam focuses on locally producing exotic fruits like blueberries and red raspberries, which are typically imported into India. This initiative aims to provide fresher, healthier produce at lower cost, making it more accessible to consumers. By sourcing locally, customers enjoy fruits with longer shelf lives at prices up to 50% lesser than imports. Not only this, but local farmers benefit from steady incomes and enhanced skills in growing exotic crops. So, welcome to the series, Kia.
Thank you, Shankar. How are you doing?
I'm good. So, I would begin by asking you about your journey. So, how did the idea of importing plants and growing exotic fruits occur to you?
Sure. So this is back in the day while I was still pursuing law. I graduated from Government Law College back in 2014. And while I was still practicing law, uh, while reading happened to be a professional hazard, I came across a lot of data where we could see countries with not higher incomes on the agricultural side growing high value crops. So countries like Peru, Chile, which were not so advanced in terms of agriculture, had suddenly moved to the production of high value crops. Um, but India, for some reason, despite being an agrarian economy, was not moving in the needle was not moving towards the value of the crops. Uh, Further study indicated that India was majorly focused on crops which had MSP. The farmers in India were in the situation where they needed to grow crops which would provide them a lot more stability. Secondly, also the problem was that the next generation of farmers are not really getting into agriculture. So if you see in rural India, a lot of farmers and their kids are working in cities or in call centers or having very good bank jobs, but none of them are interested in agriculture. On further understanding, we realized that the return that they are getting, one of the reasons was the return was not very high. And B, the skill development and the satisfaction that comes from work was not really happening in that case. We took it as a cause and we decided to grow high value crops in India. So that is how the journey began. But we had no one in agriculture, neither had we any knowledge of how to sell product. This purely started from a piece of paper saying this is possible, and if anyone in the world can do it, why would India, as a land which is very fertile and rich in agriculture, cannot? That is how the journey started back in the day. And today, we receive significant milestones where by the end of next financial year, we will be impacting lives of almost 500 farmers' families and making women of these families financially independent.
Right. So when I was reading about Farm to Fam, it was also very interesting to learn that you use some modern tech that is being used across multiple countries like Israel, USA. And so could you tell us a little about the tech and how did the idea of bringing it to India come to you? And also, what were the factors that you had to consider, both monetary and climate wise?
Sure. So, firstly, when the project started with my husband and me, who's also my co-founder, Vimal, us visiting Mexico, US. We visited Central, South America. We visited the US, United States of America, Europe, and multiple countries in these areas, and figured what are the technologies currently being used by all of these kind of nations. A lot of them have conditions which are similar to ours, and we just needed to understand how to um, best utilize a particular climatic condition to our benefit. So that is how we started our journey. Also, another major problem that we encountered in terms of tech is varietal IP. India is not a signatory to any IP convention. So when the journey started back in 2020, It was very difficult for us as a young 27, 28-year-old to go internationally and convince them to give us the plants with the best IP to make it possible to grow them in India. But we leveraged the work that we have done in the past regard other fields of business, and we were successfully able to get today in 4 years. We can proudly say we are growers of the best blueberries and raspberry varieties in India, and most of the varieties that we are growing are exclusively grown by us in India. So and that was one of the key challenges that we had to face. The second key challenge that we also faced was um, in India. If you see the climate smart agriculture, the wave came back in 1970. That was when the Dutch visited India and came up with controlled mechanisms for rose and other floriculture products. So we realized that the entire system on which climate smart agriculture is operating in India, as per our analysis, doesn't work for a place like Western India. The model is adapted based on what happens in Dutch countries. But given the climatic conditions are extremely different, while the farmers in India had been following that mechanism, it was not the most we have worked with international agencies and actually developed the kind of mechanism which will make it cooler for the plants in summer and hotter, trap the heat in winter. Again, the key criteria for us while doing this was ensuring it was really cost effective. If our vision is to put India on the global map for production of berries, but that is not possible if the model that we are choosing is not cost effective. So with this, we've almost brought down the cost of the infrastructure by 50%, and we are able to grow berries. We're doing raspberries 365 days a year, and even blueberries we're growing for an extended season at our farm. Those are the two innovations that we have worked on with different global agencies and collaborated with for them.
Right. So how do you ensure that your berries are free from residues and pesticides? And what are the key factors that influence the quality and yield of your crop?
Sure. So, while we fully understand, Shankla, that any business or any venture that we do is a collaboration of team effort. And the key point for Vimal and myself was to always get the best team on board. So back in 2021, we actually got expats from multiple countries to live at the farm, and a lot of them continue to live with us today. Now, these were experts who had the major deep knowledge of the growing practices and how internationally um, the production and the quality happens to be maintained. So one thing that we proudly say is that we've got with the experts that we have and the knowledge that they've imparted, we've ensured that local team today at the farm understands and knows what exactly goes into the product, and how the quality control of the product happens. So that is how we have ensured that the product is in, I would say, not only in at par but much more superior to an international product.
I'm really happy to hear that we can source really high quality products here in India. So, how do you envision the future of urban farming and agri-tech in the next 5 to 10 years? And what role do you see Farm2Fam playing in the broader conversation about food sustainability?
We feel Farm2Fam will be one of the major players in the Indian representing India for food sustainability. So while we talk of food sustainability in a very different context, we believe that India today has a very high disposable income, and these are the people who are ready to pay for the produce that they're consuming internationally. So if you are aware that almost 3 years ago, India was almost importing around 18 to 20,000 crores of fresh fruits and vegetables. So we are tapping into that segment, and we want a lot of these crops to be grown locally. But again, we want to work with the best breeders and get the right technology for each of them, which is why we have started with blueberries and raspberries. And going forward in the next few years, our vision is to tap into multiple segments and ensure that we can cater to the consumers and provide them better produce at much reasonable cost.
Right. So you also talked about getting into other several sectors. So I would also like to ask you, what are your future goals in terms of, context of agri-tech? Is there any specific technology that you are looking at that you want to bring this time? And because I also saw a very interesting collaboration with an ice cream brand, and I'm curious to know more about the kind of technology that you're looking at.
So not only growing, Shankla, we want to get involved into the way a consumer can eat these products, right? Today, the main problem with a consumer, and when I talk of a consumer, I'm talking about young kids. I have twins who are less than 2 years old, twin boys. And the key problem when they eat a fruit is they don't have the same consumer experience every time. So what we are looking at building is creating the same consumer experience with every bite of fruit. And we want India to understand the different paradigms in which different ways in which these fruits can be consumed. So not only are we growing them and selling them in the fresh category, but we are also working with different brands such as Noto. We worked with Paul and Mike. We've done multiple collaborations across the segment. Um, to I would say educate the customer about the different ways of eating a healthy product. So the idea that we are always focusing on is health. You would probably not find Farm2Fam doing products which are very sugar laden or high in preservatives. Our entire motto is that if us and the families can eat it very clean and openly, that is only the product that we wish to be in.
Right. I think that'll be all from my side. Thank you for finding out time and joining us here today. Kia's journey truly highlights the power of agriculture to promote community health and economic sustainability. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.